On April 2nd of this year, the Kent County Prosecutor walked up to a microphone in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and said the one word that America uses to end every conversation about a black body on the ground: justified. The body belonged to a 32-year-old father named Quain Johnson. The bullets came from the gun of Grand Rapids police officer Christopher Carlson. And the city, on the press release at the top of the podium, the same Grand Rapids, Michigan that killed Patrick Lyoya in 2022, whose officer walked on a hung jury and will never be retired. The same city, same police department, same legal team. Ben Crump, the notorious ambulance chaser, and Ven Johnson, same outcome.
Lordy, that would be really bad.
Today, we're not doing hypotheticals. We're reading the receipts of a killing that just got rubber stamped 12 days ago. So let's lay down this timeline. Because according to the report from Michigan Advance, on February 18th of this year, Grand Rapids police responded to a report of a man on a bicycle, allegedly armed. And that man was Quain Johnson. Officers engaged him. A K9 unit was deployed. The dog pinned Johnson to the ground. And let me repeat that so it lands. Quain Johnson was pinned to the ground and restrained by a dog. And we've seen it a lot of times before when the dog has an assailant and they're on the ground flailing around. The dog had them by their arm, their neck, their leg, whatever it may be. Then Officer Carlson fired 3 shots into his body. And the family's lawyers say he was shot from behind while the K9 was still on him. And Johnson, he died the next day, February 19th of this year. He was 32 years of age. He was a father. He had a daughter, or rather he had daughters who are now growing up without him. The police department story said that Johnson had a gun.
No way.
The family's attorney, Crump and Ven Johnson, said that the department's public statements are, and I quote, mistruths. These aren't my words. That's what civil rights lawyers with receipts put in writing on March 20th of this year, as well as when we look at April 2nd. Kent County Prosecutor Chris Becker had a press conference and announced no criminal charges against Officer Carlson. Becker said he found no evidence that the force was unreasonable.
Hypocrisy, my friend.
3 shots from behind on a man already been mauled by a police dog. No charges, he states. Now, let me tell you why this hits different. Because Grand Rapids is not a first-time offender. Grand Rapids is a repeat offender. April 4th of 2022, Patrick Lyoya, a 26-year-old man from the Congo, okay, he was an immigrant, but nevertheless, he was a black man. He was pulled over for a license plate issue. There was a struggle, and then Grand Rapids police officer Christopher Skur shoots him in the back of the head while Lyoya is face down on the ground. You guys remember that famous case. He was face down on the ground and got shot execution style in the back of the head. That case did go to trial, by the way, and Skur was charged with second-degree murder in May of 2025. That trial ended in a hung jury. It was a mistrial. And in the months after, the prosecutor announced that Skur would not be retired. He is still practicing law enforcement. The reason why I say practicing, because none of them get it right. Just like a practicing doctor.
Wait, there's more.
4 years later, almost on the day, another black man dies at the hands of the same police department, the same defense attorneys, same Crump Johnson legal team on the family side, same less lethal until lethal pattern, and the same ending. And this time, the DA didn't even bother with a charge. He skipped straight justified.
I choose violence.
And this is not a coincidence. This is a municipal culture, and a municipal culture doesn't change until the politicians, the prosecutors, and the police chiefs who build them are replaced. We have to replace them.
I'm so sick of these people.
Let's talk about that word justified, because in American law, justified doesn't mean right. It doesn't mean moral. It doesn't even mean necessary. It means that the officers fear. I feared he had a gun. I felt threatened for my life. He was going to run me over. It's very subjective. It's personal, and often trained into him at the academy was reasonable under Graham versus Connor, the 1989 Supreme Court case that still governs how we judge police use of force today. I wonder if a police ever invade someone's home and you don't know that it's police and you fear for your life and you shoot and unalive those police officers, will they look at it the same way?
The answer is hell no.
I'm not anti-police. I'm pro-police, but I'm pro-good police. I'm pro-ethical and moral police. Now, in May of last year, the Supreme Court did narrow the doctrine slightly in the Bonds versus Felix case. They unanimously rejected the moment of threat doctrine and required courts to look at the totality of the circumstances. And that really matters. That's a real legal development. Brady United documented. Go read the ruling. But Bonds versus Felix alone doesn't dissolve the force field around the badge, because the only person who has to be reasonable under the law is the person holding the gun, not the man with the K9 on him, not the man on his bike, not the man with his hands out of frame on a neighbor's phone video, just the officer and his fear. And whatever story gets written after the trigger gets pulled. That's not a justice system. That is a permission slip.
Kids lost their dad. So I hope that they get the healing that they need. I pray that the city of Grand Rapids can figure out how they can get that healing for the children and his mom.
Marshall Chandler was home the night Daquan Johnson was shot and killed by a Grand Rapids police officer. 6 weeks later, Chandler learned the officer involved would not face charges.
Do you think these officers acted reasonably or just couldn't prove otherwise where they were in need of charges?
Yes. I mean, I think it's both. I mean, I don't think you can't separate necessarily. I think, under the circumstance, I can't disprove it clearly. And, like I go back to, what else would you have them do? I can't, that would have been great if they would have done something else.
Neighbors I talked to who live nearby tell me they're frustrated by this decision.
It's distasteful. I don't like it. It's not very surprising, but at the same time, I just feel like there could have been a lot more investigating.
Kent County Commissioner Robert Womack has been supporting families who've lost loved ones in officer-involved shootings. While police immunity wasn't a factor in this case, Womack feels like the community perceives it that way.
Sadly, the message that came out without charges coming and without this going to a jury and letting the jury be the final decision maker, it sends a message to our community that I can't erase. Our community feels that police have the right to kill and that they'll have quantified immunity.
He adds that families should be having conversations.
Still tell them you can't judge all police by the actions of some. I still tell them we have to continue to teach our children to know your rights and what to do when they interact with police.
A conversation Chandler is having with her son.
Little things. Him enjoying being a child is very, very hard because you don't know what they will mistake for a gun or a weapon or what people will call and just say about a child. So I just try to keep him as safe as possible. I let him know just to be respectful. And that's for any adult or any type of authority, just to be respectful.
The officers are back on the job. They must go.
How you doing, Mr. Becker?
Serious as a heart attack.
He said the officer was justified because the officer said that gun was pointed at him.
Because he said it was pointed at him.
I expected this. That's why God gave me peace. Is it messed up that another mother has to go through this? The way that they went about this, I didn't expect them to prosecute. I expected it when they said that he didn't recharge that officer in Lyoya's case. So
Can we go so we can go?
that's why I'm able to be so calm.
Black people should be tired of peace. And I'm not talking about revenge or vengeance, but we definitely need justice. Your Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, can give you peace. And that's what she's asked for. So she's at peace. But there needs to be justice in all regards. While Grand Rapids was rubber stamping Carlson, 3 other justified rulings dropped on the same day window. Because on April 9th of this year, Broomfield, Colorado, 3 officers found justified in the shooting death of a man during a 2025 crisis call. And that's what the Denver Gazette actually reported. Number 2, April 10th of this year, Colorado Springs. El Paso County DA ruled Officer Austin Holmesburg use of force in a November 2025 officer-involved shooting justified. DA said that the officer used a degree of force which he reasonably believed to be necessary. KKTV broke that story. Number 3, April of this year as well, Franklin, Indiana. Johnson's County Prosecutor Attorney Lance Hamner announced that the November 2025 killing of a 37-year-old Robert Beto was justified. 4 rulings in 10 days, 4 uses of the same word, 4 families with the same gut punch. This is not a series of isolated incidents. This is a national default setting. And the default is this: if a cop pulls the trigger, the prosecutor will find a reason not to file. Until we change the prosecutors, the default does not change. So let me clear some things up. The talking heads love to strawman this all the time. Black America is not asking to abolish the police. At least I know that I'm not. This was a college slogan that the media forced on us, especially with the Democratic Party. And then the Republicans echoed this to make it even worse than what it is, because this is absolutely not true. Who do you think Black people call when we have issues?
What? Who?
We call the police. That doesn't mean we're anti-police. What we've been asking for 60 years is very simple. 1, independent prosecutors for every officer involved killing, not the same DA who depends on the same cops for every other case in that building. 2, end qualified immunity. If a plumber can be sued for flooding your kitchen, an officer can be held liable for killing your family member. 3, national use of force standards, not 18,000 different departments with 18,000 different rule books. Mandatory release of body cam footage within a hard legal defined window. If the camera is off or malfunctioning during a killing, this is not a mystery. That is a confession. We also need real mental health crisis response. Non-police team for non-police problems. Do not forget the story I just reported on. Stephen King's Jr. family did the right thing. They called for help. The system sent armed officers instead of clinicians. A retired cop's son ended up dead, and let that sink in. He was a retired cop and his son was killed by a cop.
Toxic.
That's not radical. That's the minimum. People love to say, you hate police. No, I hate impunity. I hate a system where a cop can shoot a restrained man from behind while a dog is on him. And a prosecutor 45 days later calls it reasonable, calls it justified. I hate a system where a city like Grand Rapids, Michigan can kill 2 Black men in 4 years and never produce a single conviction. But more than anything, I hate the silence of the politicians who know better. Every Democrat who campaigned in Black churches in 2020 promised police reform. The George Floyd Justice and Policing Act died in the Senate. Nobody went to war for it. Nobody shut down the floor. Nobody made it an issue. And every Republican who talks about law and order, back the blue, won't even say the phrase police accountability without choking. Both parties failed us. As I continue to state that this is a one-party system, they just look at things very differently, but it's with the same outcome. One with a smile and one with a smirk. Fact. That's what this platform is about. The truth. Notice the pattern. Name the pattern. We must break the pattern. Say his name. Quain Johnson, 32 years of age, a father. Grand Rapids, Michigan, February 18, 2026. Say the officer's name. Christopher Carlson, Grand Rapids Police Department, still employed and never charged.
I see.
Say the prosecutor's name. Chris Becker, Kent County, Michigan. He's the one who made the decision on April 2nd. If you're tired, I hear you. If you're angry, I hear you. If you're numb, I especially hear you, because numbness is what they're counting on. Don't let them. Vote down ballot when it comes to DAs, sheriffs, judges, and prosecutors. That's where the machine lives. Kent County Prosecutor Chris Becker has to stand for re-election. So does yours. Know the name, know the date, know the record. This is why these things are important. We keep allowing people to be re-elected that has allowed harm to come to our communities with no justification. And they call it justified, reasonable. If you haven't checked your voter registration in the last 90 days, do it today. Drop a comment. Who's your DA? When's the next election? Let's name them on this channel. And matter of fact, like, subscribe, and share. They only get away with it if we agree to look away, and we don't look away. And this is why that I made this website right here, ladies and gentlemen. OurVoiceVote.org is not just a site about voting. It's a site about information. It's an information hub for you guys to go to understand what's really going on in our country. But the most important thing that we can do against police and the brutality that they show towards our community, and not all police, okay? I would like to believe that the great majority of police are good police, and that those few bad apples spoil you the bunch. But here's a website that I created totally free. If you want to donate, donate. If you don't, don't. But you can go here to track your representatives. You can go here to register to vote, because this is the most important thing, ladies and gentlemen. In order to show power, unification, and organization, this is a one-stop shop for you to go. Look up your representative, who they are, write to them, see if they worth backing. Would it be with your vote? Would it be with your dollar? And this is why I call for a lot of our conclaves and within our Black communities where we have large populations of people to form a local PAC, a political action committee. Because when we start putting our money where our mouth is, that is when we're going to show true power. When we start garnering and gaining momentum and we start voting these people out, that's going to change the very dynamics of our community.
Freaking excited!
We need to start encouraging our sons and daughters to be DAs, to be lawyers and judges and police officers.
Yes, definitely.
Where we can police where we live. Because I'm not going to see another Black man as a threat if he's not garnering a weapon. If he does not have a weapon pointed at me, I understand how we grow up. I understand how we are. I understand our lingo. I understand everything about us. So I'm not going to automatically think because of his skin color that he's a threat. In order to make change, we have to be the change that we want to see. But this is a resource tool for all of you guys. You can put in your zip code, as I showed yesterday, and I'm going to keep promoting this. And you can know who your senators are, your congresspeople are, your elected officials, even on the state level. This is not just about federal. This is about local and state, which will have a direct impact on you guys' lives. Also, for people who are in desperate need, this is a free help and resource tool for all 50 states. We either be on a federal level for SNAP benefits and Feeding America, getting food, shelter, free health care, mental health crisis. A lot of times we don't know where to call. All of these resources you see in front of you, ladies and gentlemen, are absolutely free. And then if you guys didn't know this, and I was just talking to a buddy of mine that came over and does some electrical work. What's the number for emergencies? 911. What's the number for information? 411. Well, what a lot of people don't know is that the number for assistance and help for resources is 211. It's 211. Every state has a 211, just like every state has a 411 and a 911. So when you call 211, you will see that the resources and assistance that will be provided to you. Okay, just like anything else, I'm pretty sure you have to apply. But again, share this website. Share it to your friends and family. This is where you can go and you can apply for things. You can register to vote, right? This is a conduit. This is a avenue that you guys can take, okay? And I just break things out very, very simply. And know your rights, okay? Know your rights as the rights are given to us by the Constitution, okay? And then I also have very short, if you don't know too much about politics, you don't know about government, I made it very easy for you guys to look through this, understand the 3 branches of government and what they do, as well as the Bill of Rights, with all the first 10 amendments. Very easy to read, very simple, just a sentence, and you will know enough to understand what you need to do. But nevertheless, we must act. And this ain't about vengeance with violence, none of that. We have to start putting people out of position. We need to start to talk to politicians who are interested and that we can encourage of creating a Black hate crime bill. When we are being brutalized by white supremacists and people that call us out of our name in the act of violence, and it's a hate crime, that we get the same protections as the Jews. We get the same protections as the Asians. We get the same protections as the Native Americans. But we have to be informed. We have to be organized and unified. And that is why this site actually exists. Empower our voice. And that's the only way we're going to shape our future.